7 months ago, Trump claimed his airstrikes completely obliterated Iran's nuclear program. Now satellite images show mysterious new activity at the bombed sites, and Trump is threatening to strike again, warning the next attack will be far worse. Today, we're breaking down what's happening at Iran's nuclear facilities, why Trump's own claims contradict his current threats, and whether America is about to launch another war in the Middle East. Thursday, Planet Labs released satellite images showing the first significant activity at Iranian nuclear sites since the June war. New roofs have been constructed over 2 damaged buildings at the Isfahan and Natanz facilities, Iran's most important nuclear installations. These aren't repairs. Experts say the roofs are designed to hide what Iran is doing from satellite surveillance. Sarah Burkhart from the Institute for Science and International Security believes Iran is conducting an operation to recover any sort of remaining assets or rubble without letting us know what they are getting out of there. Sean O'Connor from the intelligence firm Janes agrees the aim is to obscure activity rather than to repair or rebuild a structure for use. The timing is significant. Iran has blocked International Atomic Energy Agency inspectors from accessing the sites since June. Satellites were the only way to monitor what Tehran was doing. Now Iran has eliminated even that capability. But there's more. Iran is also rebuilding Taleghan 2, a military site at the Parchin complex southeast of Tehran that Israel destroyed in October 2024. Before 2004, Iran used this facility for nuclear weapons experiments, specifically work on neutron initiators, the core component that triggers a nuclear explosion. U.S. and Israeli intelligence observed renewed work there in 2023 related to manufacturing plastic explosives used in nuclear detonations. That's what prompted Israel's October strike. Now Iran is rebuilding the site with a concrete sarcophagus to harden it against future attacks. Construction began around May 2025 and is nearing completion. Additionally, satellite images show Iran continuing excavation work at Pickaxe Mountain, a few hundred meters south of Natanz. Piles of dirt from the dig keep growing. Intelligence officials believe Iran is building a new nuclear facility there, one buried so deep that even bunker buster bombs might not reach it. Here's the problem with Trump's current threats. They contradict everything he's said for 7 months. On June 22, after Operation Midnight Hammer, Trump declared Iran's nuclear facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. They no longer have the capability to build nuclear weapons. He repeated this claim dozens of times. "We destroyed their entire nuclear program," Trump said in September. "There's nothing left to bomb." Now he's threatening to bomb nuclear facilities again and warning the next attack will be far worse. On Wednesday, Trump posted, "As I told Iran once before, make a deal. They didn't, and there was Operation Midnight Hammer, a major destruction of Iran. Don't make that happen again. The next attack will be far worse." So which is it? Either the June strikes worked, in which case there's nothing left to threaten, or they didn't work, meaning Trump lied about success. Both can't be true. The Atlantic Council analyzed this contradiction and concluded Trump claimed victory prematurely in June and now is trying to threaten his way out of that corner. Operation Midnight Hammer was genuinely impressive militarily. 7 B-2 bombers flew 18 hours from Missouri, dropped 14 30,000-pound bunker busters on 3 nuclear sites, and returned home. It was the first operational use of the massive ordnance penetrator, the only weapon capable of destroying deeply buried facilities. But the program wasn't obliterated. Iran enriched uranium at multiple dispersed sites. Some facilities are buried hundreds of feet underground. Trump destroyed 3 major sites, Natanz, Isfahan, and Fordo, but Iran's nuclear knowledge, scientists, and remaining infrastructure survived. 7 months later, Iran has adapted. It's learned where vulnerabilities were, hardened sights against future strikes, and moved operations underground where satellites can't see and bombs can't reach. Trump isn't just talking, he's deployed what he calls a massive armada to the Persian Gulf. A massive armada is heading to Iran, Trump wrote Wednesday on Truth Social. It is moving quickly with great power, enthusiasm, and purpose. It is a larger fleet headed by the great aircraft carrier Abraham Lincoln than that sent to Venezuela. Like with Venezuela, it is ready, willing, and able to rapidly fulfill its mission with speed and violence if necessary. The USS Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group, including 3 guided missile destroyers, arrived in the Middle East on Monday. These warships can launch precision strikes on Iranian targets from international waters. Trump explicitly compared this deployment to Venezuela, where he sent a naval blockade, captured President Nicolas Maduro, and flew him to Florida to face narco-terrorism charges. That operation killed 32 Cuban intelligence agents guarding Maduro. Trump wants Iran to know he's willing to use the same playbook. Secretary of State Marco Rubio told the Senate the military buildup represents a baseline for defense, but acknowledged Trump reserves the preemptive defensive option if intelligence indicates Iran will strike U.S. forces. Rubio described Iran's regime as probably weaker than it has ever been due to economic collapse and mass protests. He suggested that if the regime falls, the U.S. could facilitate a transition like in Venezuela, though he admitted Iran would be far more complex. Iran has given Trump a deadline, though he won't say when publicly. Only they know for sure, he told reporters Friday, confirming the message was delivered directly to Iranian leaders. The president framed it as a choice. Hopefully, Iran will quickly come to the table and negotiate a fair and equitable deal. No nuclear weapons, one that is good for all parties. Time is running out. It is truly of the essence. Iran's foreign minister Abbas Araghchi issued a defiant response Wednesday. Our brave armed forces are prepared, with their fingers on the trigger, to immediately and powerfully respond to any aggression against our beloved land, air, and sea. Araghchi added that Iran learned valuable lessons from the 12-day war in June and is now prepared to respond even strongly, rapidly, and profoundly. But Iran's position is complicated. Araghchi said Iran is willing to discuss its nuclear program on an equal footing if negotiations are fair and equitable. However, he insisted negotiations cannot take place under threat, and any talks must be conducted in conditions where threats and excessive demands are set aside. This creates a catch-22. Trump demands negotiations while threatening strikes. Iran refuses to negotiate under threat of attack. Neither side will blink first. Iranian Parliament Speaker Mohammad Bakr Ghalibaf said Thursday that Iran is ready for sincere and genuine negotiations with America, but warned that Trump may be able to start a war he cannot foresee how it will end. Regional allies are urging restraint. On Tuesday, Saudi Arabia announced it will not allow U.S. forces to use its airspace or territory for strikes on Iran. The UAE took a similar position. Both countries fear becoming targets of Iranian retaliation if they assist American attacks. Russia called on all parties to exercise restraint and warned that any forceful actions can only create chaos in the region. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said the potential for negotiations is far from exhausted. Even France, a U.S. ally, distanced itself from military action. Armed Forces Minister Alice Rufo said while France supports Iranian protesters, a military intervention is not the preferred option. Trump's initial justification for threatening Iran was humanitarian, protecting protesters from a brutal crackdown. He posted, "If you soak the streets in blood, the United States of America will come to your rescue. The U.S. is locked and loaded and ready to go." The protests began December 28th, when Iran's currency collapsed to 1.5 million rials per dollar. Economic desperation drove Iranians into the streets across dozens of cities. Iran's response was catastrophic. Government figures claim 3,117 killed. The human rights activist news agency reports at least 6,126 dead. Some medical sources suggest over 22,000 deaths. But by mid-January, the brutal crackdown worked. Protests largely died down. Trump briefly backed off, claiming the killing has stopped. Yet the carrier group kept moving toward Iran. Trump's rhetoric shifted from humanitarian intervention to nuclear demands. "Come to the table and negotiate," he posted this week. "No nuclear weapons." This pivot reveals Trump's strategy. Protests gave him a politically palatable reason to deploy forces while framing threats as supporting freedom. Once protests ended, he pivoted to the real objective, forcing Iran to abandon its nuclear program. The problem is, Trump withdrew from the 2015 nuclear deal that already blocked Iran's path to a bomb. He reimposed sanctions, Iran resumed enrichment, and now he's demanding a new deal from a weaker position with less international support. Why would Iran accept worse terms after being bombed? The Atlantic Council notes military action is more likely to consolidate elite cohesion around the regime than spark transformation. Trump has boxed himself into a difficult corner. He can't back down without looking weak, but striking Iran risks a regional war with unpredictable consequences. Iran is not Venezuela. It has 90 million people, a battle-hardened military, ballistic missiles capable of hitting Israel and Gulf states, and proxies across the region. During the June war, Iran fired over 500 ballistic missiles and 1,100 drones at Israel, killing 32 and wounding over 3,000. If Trump strikes again, Iran will retaliate harder. Secretary Arabji promised responses would be stronger, rapidly, and profoundly based on lessons learned. The next U.S. attack, if it comes, will need to be larger and more sustained than Operation Midnight Hammer. Iran has dispersed assets, hardened sites, and moved facilities underground. A quick strike won't work. It would require a sustained bombing campaign, essentially war. Trump's bet is that Iran will negotiate before he has to make good on threats. Iran's bet is that Trump's threats are theater and that domestic and international costs will constrain him. One of them is wrong.